Okay, everybody. Just getting together to give you a few words to start the week off. Make sure that you've paid attention to the learning objectives. Your activator video for this week and your learning objectives should be taken care of by Monday uh, before 11:59 p.m. What I have here are in front of you are the learning objectives for the week. So hopefully you'll go through and kind of really pay attention. I especially want you to pay attention as we're going through to the ideas of materialism um, and idealism. Okay, materialism is the reduction of the world and everything in it down to matter, and that all things are matter, including thoughts. And idealism is the reduction of everything in the world down to ideas or mental constructs. Even matter itself is a material, is an idea, not a thing in itself. So that's a distinction that's very important to make. Understand a little better what pragmatism is, because this is, in a sense, the American contribution to world historical philosophy is this notion of pragmatism. Uh, and I think that there's a lot of really cool stuff in there that those of you that are interested in things like quantum mechanics uh, and a whole host of other things will find quite interesting in the long run. Then we get down to a particular area of more focused philosophizing, which is the Anglo-American tradition is dominated by what's called the logical positivists. And just very quickly, logical positivists are people who believe that you should only take as certain and given that for which you can be positive, that for which there is a positive amount of data, positive amount of facts, positive amount of arguments that, allow you to posit something as being without having to worry about um, all the other kinds of ways that you can get lost in asserting the being of something. So when we talk about reality, we often turn to metaphysics. So logical positivists want to say that all metaphysical claims, because they're unprovable, they're just claims. You can't prove them. You can't be positive, 100% sure, certain about them. They're meaningless. Okay. There are quite a few people in around the world in different traditions, European continent, India, China. There are a lot of people around the world who disagree with this idea, and they believe it's caused a lot of mischief. But on the other hand, the other side, the logical positivists, would say that metaphysics has caused a lot of mischief. So today logical positivism is still strong in the academy, but I think you see the after effects of it in people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who says philosophy is a waste of time because he assumes that philosophizing is either just, reduction of everything to logic, which would be the logical positivists. That can be done as well or better by mathematicians. Or he assumes that it's just a bunch of speculative metaphysical claims, and those sort of things should be left to science to decide how the structure of reality is. So you have people like Neil deGrasse Tyson who believe that philosophy is useless based on logical positivist assumptions. You also have people like Stephen Hawking who'll say the same thing. All right, now we get into the issue of what's called anti-realism. Okay, so you're going to need to like understand what the difference is between realism, or the attempt to say what is real, and anti-realism, which basically means, in one sense, you could say that realism takes up the mantle of a kind of materialism. Anti-realism takes up the mantle of a kind of idealism, but they're definitely beyond just those simple things, right? But primarily, anti-realism would be that, we'll never see reality, because our words and our experiences are constructs, and they construct the world as we're paying attention to them. And then in this one especially, what you're going to want to think about is how feminists have challenged this idea of realism, the idea of realism, which has often been used to quiet dissent among people who say, there are some socially constructed problems that exist in science, in math, in a lot of different areas that supposedly are supposed to be above all these things. So we can say that the law of gravity is above sexism, is above patriarchy, obviously, but there is a way that you can construct whole investigations, whole laboratories to around men, and exclude women, or exclude, around white people, and exclude people of color. So, feminists have come up with some pretty good um, anti-realist critiques of realism. Then finally, I make a big deal this last time about freedom, and what freedom is, and how freedom is. Is freedom real? And in this sense, we'll be talking about determinism. Are we utterly and completely determined? Are we so, right? Is everything predetermined for us? There is no freedom at all whatsoever. Even me saying these words the way I'm saying, they were all put in motion at the Big Bang, and there's never been a free act since the Big Bang 20 billion years ago. Then we have a couple of other ideas. Libertarianism, which is not the libertarianism that has become political in the United States, which is a sort of far right notion of why the government should keep its hands out of my life. But libertarianism in the sense of, I want to achieve liberty. That what we do is about being liberated, and therefore there has to be some kind of freedom, right? And then compatibilism, that's basically that humans are primarily compatible with the mechanical forces of the world, like gravity and those kinds of things. And we can achieve some limited amount of freedom inside of what's basically a large predetermined machine. Finally, is time real? I'm going to kind of leave that one there for one that y'all can think a lot about. I'm thinking this time that I might actually pick the essay question that I want y'all to write about. And so if that's the case, I'll let you know by Tuesday, so that you don't run in and write on something else. If you get in there and you've already written essay for number 3 before I can make this change, obviously I'll grade it and not take any points off. But insofar as what I would like to do maybe is get y'all to be thinking more specifically about freedom and time. And how time is not necessarily something that's the equivalent of what happens on a clock, right? Clock time and the experience of time are not necessarily the same thing. So just something to keep in mind. Do your readings, do your activator video, get into, really kind of thinking about these things. I would suggest writing a practice essay just to kind of work on y'all's rhetoric and your grammar and your clarity of expression. Some of you are really good writers. Some of you, many of you are okay writers, and then some of you are really not very good writers. And this is something you really need to be working on. Take the time to write practice essays and get a friend to look at the essay. When you get ready to write your essay, I don't care if someone proofread your essay, so long as they don't give you, substantial help. The essay is not going to our writers always have editors, and the editors even make suggestions for clarity. So that's not plagiarizing. That's being smart and learning to share what you're thinking with other people so they can help you express it in a way that might get across to more than yourself. So I would actually suggest that everybody do this. It's also a good way to open up discussions with friends and family members about some of the things you're learning about. So try to write your essay ahead of time, and try to do your very best to improve the clarity of your rhetoric, the rigor of your grammar, and the imaginative use of word choice. So that you're not just using the same words over and over and over again. Okay, well, that'll be the end for this first message for Module 3, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another short message. Bye-bye.